how musical training affects cognitive development, rhythm, reward, and other modulating variables. Why music is more than just an artistic skill. It's often viewed as an extracurricular activity rather than a cognitive one. Students learn instruments, join bands, sing in choirs, or take lessons outside their core academic subjects. On the surface, it seems separate from areas like mathematics, language, memory, but researchers are interested in musical training because it requires many mental systems to work together simultaneously. When someone learns music, they are processing patterns, controlling movement, maintaining attention, and remembering sequences. They are also responding to feedback and adapting to timing. This combination makes it a complex learning experience. Why rhythm plays such an important role. Rhythm is one of the most fundamental elements of music. It may also be one of the most important for cognitive development. Keeping a steady beat requires timing, prediction, and attention. The brain must anticipate what comes next while continuously adjusting to maintain accuracy. Many cognitive activities outside music also depend on timing. Reading, speaking, listening, and even coordinated movement. Some researchers believe that practicing rhythm strengthens neural systems involved in temporal processing. This may help explain why musical training is sometimes linked to improvements in language and learning skills. The brain has to coordinate multiple systems at once. Unlike many activities, music requires several systems to operate together. A student reading sheet music must interpret visual symbols, convert them into motor actions, and monitor timing. They also listen to the resulting sound and correct mistakes in real time. All of this can happen within seconds. This constant coordination challenges working memory, attention, sensory processing, and motor control simultaneously. Because the brain repeatedly practices managing these demands, researchers are interested in whether musical training can influence broader cognitive abilities. A situation that feels familiar to many students. Anyone who has learned an instrument recognizes practicing the same section repeatedly. At first, the notes may feel disconnected and awkward. The timing may be inconsistent. Mistakes happen constantly. Then, after enough repetition, the brain begins linking everything together more efficiently. This process feels similar to learning difficult academic material. Whether solving algebra, learning a new language, or practicing music, improvement comes from repeated exposure, correction, and gradual refinement. Why reward matters in musical learning. One factor that makes music unique is the role of reward. In many academic subjects, progress can feel delayed. A student may study for weeks before seeing improvement on an exam. Music often provides faster feedback. When a difficult passage finally sounds correct, the reward is immediate and noticeable. The student hears the improvement instantly. This positive feedback can increase motivation and encourage continued practice. Researchers believe that reward systems may influence how effectively musical training supports learning because motivated students practice more consistently. The connection between music and memory. Memory plays a major role in musical performance. Musicians remember long sequences of notes, rhythms, finger movements, and expressive details. Even when reading music, performers rely heavily on working memory to keep track of what they are playing. This repeated use of memory systems has led researchers to investigate whether musical training can strengthen memory-related abilities. Studies have found associations between musical training and certain aspects of verbal, auditory, and working memory performance. Why attention is constantly being trained? Musical training requires sustained attention. A performer cannot easily allow their mind to wander while playing a piece successfully. They must remain aware of timing, pitch, technique, and upcoming sections. Group performances increase the demand even further. Musicians must monitor both their own performance and the performance of others simultaneously. This continuous attentional control contributes to cognitive benefits. The brain repeatedly practices focusing, shifting attention when necessary, and filtering out distractions. The role of executive function. These are mental skills involved in planning, self-monitoring, inhibition, and cognitive flexibility. These skills help people organize behavior and solve problems effectively. Music naturally engages executive functions. Successful practice requires goal setting, error correction, and a musician must notice mistakes and adjust strategies. This raises a question. Could part of music's cognitive value come from the fact that it repeatedly trains the brain to evaluate and improve its own performance? Many researchers believe executive function may be one of the key areas influenced by long-term musical training. Why not every student experiences the same benefits? One important detail often gets overlooked. Musical training does not affect every person in exactly the same way. Factors such as age, practice intensity, and quality of instruction, motivation, family support, and personal interest all influence outcomes. Two students may receive similar lessons, but experience different cognitive effects. This is why researchers often refer to modulating variables. The benefits are influenced not only by music itself, but also by the conditions. The influence of social and environmental factors. Music is often learned within social environments. Students interact with teachers, classmates, ensembles, and audiences. These experiences can influence confidence, motivation, and persistence. A supportive environment may encourage long-term engagement, while a stressful environment may reduce enjoyment and participation. Some benefits may result partly from the social and emotional experiences connected to learning rather than from the musical activity alone. The relationship between music and language. Researchers are interested in this relationship because both rely heavily on sound processing, rhythm, sequencing, and pattern recognition. Musicians often develop strong sensitivity to changes in pitch, timing, and auditory structure. These abilities may overlap with skills involved in speech, perception, and language learning. The shared neural processes continue to be an active area of research. Why consistency matters more than talent. One misconception about musical development is that talent alone determines success. In reality, consistent practice often plays a much larger role. The brain changes through repetition. Neural pathways strengthen when they are used regularly over time. This principle applies not only to music but to nearly every form of learning. A student who practices steadily for years may experience greater cognitive adaptation than someone with natural talent who rarely practices. The limits of current research. Although many studies report positive associations, researchers remain careful about drawing overly broad conclusions. It can be difficult to determine whether musical training causes cognitive improvements directly or whether students who pursue music already possess characteristics. The relationship is complex, which is why scientists continue investigating the topic. Understanding these limitations prevents exaggerated claims. While music continues to interest neuroscientists and educators, music provides a unique opportunity to study how complex learning experiences affect the brain. Few activities combine rhythm, memory, movement, attention, emotion, reward, and social interaction so naturally. This makes musical training an appealing subject for research. The more scientists learn, the better they can understand how different forms of learning shape the brain. Final thoughts. Musical training affects cognitive development through rhythm processing, attention control, memory demands, and reward systems, executive function, and social interaction. The effects are influenced by many modulating variables, including motivation and practice quality. While researchers continue studying the exact mechanisms, music remains one of the most cognitively demanding and rewarding learning experiences available. Once you look beyond the notes and instruments, it becomes clear that musical training is not simply about creating sound. It is also about training the brain to coordinate, adapt, and learn in remarkably complex ways. Thanks for watching.